We work hard to craft stories that entertain and inspire. If this one makes you smile, chills your spine, or sparks your curiosity, don't forget to leave a comment, drop a like, and subscribe for more HFY tales. The ending? Let's just say, it bites back. The Galactic Combat Academy had never seen a recruit like Cadet 13. He didn't have a name, not officially. His species, a spindly, scaled, quadrupedal predator race from the storm-choked world of Zarnok Prime, refused names as a weakness of the ego. Emotions, attachments, softness, all forbidden. He was bred to dominate, trained to kill, and sent to the most prestigious military academy in the galaxy to remind everyone else what fear looked like. They called him Threx, a word whispered in the dorm corridors, not spoken. One of the first-year cadets had once laughed in his direction. They never found his body, just his boots by the waste recycler. From that day on, the entire barracks went silent when Threx entered a room. Until she showed up, Lieutenant in training Alex Hartley, human, soft-featured, barely 5.5 feet tall, smiled too often, laughed at things that weren't funny, and for reasons no one could fathom, she was never seen without the small, fuzzy creature draped across her shoulder or curled inside her uniform like it owned her, which, by all appearances, it did. Its name? Marbles. Its species? Felis caudus. Its attitude? Unapologetically divine. At first, Threx didn't notice her. Why would he? Humans were odd but tolerable. Weak, maybe, but clever. Dangerous in their unpredictability, sure. Still not a threat to him. Not individually. Certainly not this tiny female who hummed to herself in the weapon maintenance bay and fed her marbles from a bowl with the label high-energy carnivore treats. The turning point came during tactical drills in the pressure dome. Threx had taken down 3 instructors with a practice blade before the simulation even began. The dome's lights turned red, alarms blaring, signaling an overwhelming enemy force scenario. Threx grinned, or did the closest thing his mandibles could approximate. Cadets scattered. Instructors fled to emergency bunkers, as per protocol. And Alex? She just sat on a crate, cross-legged, calmly brushing Marbles' gray fur while the simulation raged on. Threx stalked forward, curious. She didn't look up. The cat, Marbles, did. Its eyes locked with Threx's. They narrowed. Threx paused. His taloned hand twitched. Marbles stood up and arched its back. There was a moment of silence so deep it hurt. Then the cat hissed. The sound was unholy. A screech that vibrated in dimensions most species didn't even perceive. Threx stumbled back, confused. His claws extended instinctively. The hiss grew louder. Marbles leapt, not at him, but toward the steel wall beside him. Its claws sank into it like butter. Sparks flew. The metal dented. Threx turned and ran. No one had ever seen Cadet 13 run before. Threx hadn't run in decades. Running was a weakness. Predators struck and crushed, they never fled. But Marbles, the tiny furred beast with gleaming eyes, had shattered something deep inside him. Back in his dorm, the metal walls echoed with silence. His 4 limbs trembled, his breathing ragged but steady. His species prided itself on dominance, intimidation, and absolute control. Yet here, on this sprawling space station orbiting a distant star, a mere cat had reduced him to confusion and fear. For days after, Threx avoided Alex Hartley. He avoided Marbles, too. No creature, no enemy, had ever made his skin crawl the way those emerald eyes did. His species had evolved to read threat signals with lethal precision, yet Marbles wasn't a typical predator or prey. It was something else. His instructors noticed the change. Once a flawless combatant, now Threx hesitated in drills. His strikes were slower, his decisions second-guessed. Rumors spread through the academy. Cadet 13 had lost his edge. Meanwhile, Alex continued her quiet routines. She never mocked him, never boasted. She treated Marbles with tender care and spoke softly about Earth's animals, the wolves, eagles, and yes, cats. One evening, during a training exercise that simulated hostile capture, Threx found himself trapped in a tight corridor. His opponents closed in, shadows twisting in the dim emergency lights. Suddenly, a tiny shape darted through the air. Marbles. The cat's claws raked across the nearest alien's armor with terrifying speed. A roar echoed as the attacker stumbled. Threx seized the moment. He surged forward, his reflexes firing like before. With precision and power, he subdued the rest. Later, sitting across from Alex in the mess hall, he found himself asking the question that had haunted him. How does Marbles do that? She smiled. He's just a cat. But cats on Earth have sharp claws, fierce instincts, and patience. They don't fight with brute force, they fight with cunning. Threx's mind reeled. This small creature, the one he feared, had taught him a lesson more valuable than any instructor's lecture. That night, something inside him changed. The predator learned that sometimes, the most dangerous opponent isn't the biggest or strongest, it's the one you underestimate. The academy buzzed with whispers. Cadet 13, once an unstoppable force, was now distracted, almost changed. But no one understood what had truly unsettled him. It wasn't just a cat. It was Marbles. The small Earth feline had become an unexpected symbol, a reminder that power isn't always raw strength. Threx, the apex predator from Zarnok Prime, had always relied on his physical dominance. But Marbles's unpredictable behavior was a puzzle his instincts couldn't solve. The next training exercise was a live simulation involving hostile infiltration and sabotage. Teams were divided, and Threx found himself paired with Alex and Marbles, an odd trio that drew skeptical glances. As the mission began, Threx noticed something strange. The hostiles were deploying traps he hadn't anticipated, silent, subtle, and deadly. The kind of threat no brute force could overcome. Marbles prowled ahead, his fur bristling, eyes scanning every shadow. Threx followed, his senses alert but his mind racing. When a hidden snare nearly trapped him, Marbles sprang forward, swiping with claws and triggering the trap harmlessly. Alex laughed softly. You see? It's about awareness, not just strength. The mission grew harder. Coordinated attacks came from all sides, and the team struggled to stay alive. At one point, Threx was caught in a darkened corridor, surrounded by foes. His instincts screamed to fight, but the numbers were overwhelming. Marbles appeared, darting through the chaos, distracting the attackers with nimble movements and sudden strikes. Threx seized the opening, dispatching the enemies with precision. After the simulation, the instructors were stunned. The team's survival rate had skyrocketed, thanks to an unusual partnership. Threx realized that Marbles wasn't just a pet. He was a tactical weapon, a master of stealth and surprise. Most importantly, Alex's calm confidence in the tiny predator forced Threx to rethink everything he believed about power and fear. Could it be that this human, with her cat, had cracked the code to a new kind of dominance? The unexpected success of the last training mission sent ripples throughout the academy. Cadet Threx, once a solitary force feared by many, now found himself entwined in a strange partnership he couldn't ignore. Alex, the human, and her enigmatic feline, Marbles, had rewritten the rules of survival. The academy corridors buzzed with speculation. How did Threx, the apex predator, come to depend on a mere cat? Many scoffed. But those who witnessed the last exercise knew the truth. Raw strength alone was no longer enough. Alex, with a calm gaze, explained to Threx, Marbles isn't just a cat, he's instinct and intuition wrapped in fur. In the wild, the smallest creatures often survive where the strongest perish. Threx grunted, his pride bristling. Yet, beneath the surface, a seed of respect was growing. The next phase of training was an all-out war game, designed to test alliances and strategy. Teams were thrown into a hostile terrain simulation where every sound could mean death. Threx and Alex's team entered the arena. Marbles perched quietly on Alex's shoulder. The alien cadet watched the humans' every move with new eyes. Cautious admiration mingled with curiosity. Suddenly, the environment shifted. The simulated battlefield became a labyrinth of shifting shadows and hidden dangers. Communication was cut, The team had to rely on instinct and trust. A sudden alarm blared. "Ambush!" Threx roared, charging forward, but was pulled back by Alex's steady hand. "Wait!" she whispered. Marbles leapt silently to the ground, disappearing into the darkness. Minutes later, an enemy squad fell into a trap expertly set by the tiny feline. Alarms silenced, enemies incapacitated before they could strike. Threx's respect turned to awe. "Your cat? He is more dangerous than many warriors here." Alex smiled softly. "Sometimes it's not about who has the biggest claws. It's about who sees the bigger picture." The war game ended with Alex and Threx's team victorious, a testament to human ingenuity and the surprising power of unlikely allies. Word spread quickly. The human and her cat were more than curiosities. They were a force reshaping the future of the Academy. In the quiet aftermath, Threx approached Alex. "Teach me. Show me how to think beyond strength." She nodded. "It's not just about surviving. It's about thriving. Together." As they walked toward the training hall, Marbles padded silently at their heels, the smallest apex predator leading the way. The Academy was abuzz with the unexpected. The once feared Cadet Threx had transformed, not by brute force alone, but through something new: alliance, strategy, and respect. Alex and Threx stood before the Council of Instructors, tasked with leading the Academy's most elite training mission yet. The challenge: to neutralize a simulated invasion by a mysterious, unseen enemy. Marbles, ever watchful, sat calmly at Alex's side, a silent sentinel whose presence unnerved even the most battle-hardened cadets. As the simulation commenced, the team plunged into darkness and chaos. Traps, ambushes, and deception awaited at every turn. But now, with Threx's raw power guided by Alex's tactical brilliance and Marbles' instinctive awareness, the team moved as one, fluid, adaptable, unstoppable. In the heart of the mission, a deadly enemy ambush threatened to overwhelm them. Yet Marbles darted through shadows, disabling traps with surgical precision. Threx's powerful strikes opened paths, while Alex's quick thinking coordinated their moves, turning near defeat into decisive victory. When the simulation ended, the instructors were speechless. For the first time in Academy history, the combined strength of Predator, Strategist, and Stealth had rewritten the rules of warfare. Threx, once feared for his ferocity, now inspired others with his newfound humility and wisdom. Alex smiled. Strength alone doesn't win battles. It's trust, unity, and the courage to adapt. Marbles purred softly, a tiny but formidable presence that reminded all that greatness comes in many forms. From that day forward, Cadet 13 wasn't just a legend for terrifying the Academy. He became a symbol of what it truly meant to be an apex predator in the vast, wild reaches of space. And the human with her cat, they weren't just survivors, they were the future.